About 1 week ago, I did a video featuring cartoons about the threatened war in the Ukraine. I have it linked down below. The video was brief since it was a YouTube short video. Some of the cartoons I used were repurposed to apply directly to the situation in the Ukraine. But today I'm going to do something different and feature unedited cartoons that appeared in the tablet. The tablet was, and still is, the diocesan newspaper of the Brooklyn Diocese. It used to be the greatest Catholic newspaper in the United States. Even secular newspapers gave accolades to the tablet for its fine journalism. But then came the Second Vatican Council, and the tablet became a pathetic caricature of what it once had been. The cartoons in this video mostly appeared during the first few years of the 1940s, prior to American entrance into the Second World War. Americans felt the country was being pushed into war. But just a couple decades after the First World War, there was little taste to see America's young men be buried beneath blood-soaked foreign battlefields. The purpose of this video is to identify some of the parallels of the situation in America before it entered the Second World War and the current situation where moneyed elites and their lackeys are mongering for war in the Ukraine. Before the Second World War, Americans had no taste for war. Yet, the U.S. was sending aid to the Allies. Prior to Pearl Harbor, it established the USO, which supplanted religious organizations such as the Knights of Columbus, which had administered to soldiers in the First World War. And also before Pearl Harbor, it created a draft board. As it was during World War I, free speech was just an illusion. Please see my video on free speech from yesterday, which I have linked down below. While the Washington elites were wining and dining the communist ambassador from the Soviet Union, anyone who spoke out against the war was accused of sedition. Catholics preferred to stay out of Europe's mess, and instead, they thanked the Lord for the benefits we received from His bounty. We prayed that God would safeguard our nation from the ravages of war and bring peace to His people everywhere. Here we see an image of war-torn France warning Uncle Sam to look at the dangers right at home. And these dangers included communist infiltrators, rule by secret society, anti-religious education, and widespread immorality. As Joe Biden rattles his saber in the Ukraine, we still have these exact same problems lingering right here at home. Catholics didn't want any war abroad, nor any class war at home. And can anyone deny that class hatred has reached a boiling point at the present time? America's munition makers were already arming the Allies and stood to gain by America's direct involvement in the war. But the moneyed elites and manufacturing in general stood to profit from the war too. So here we see an image of a propaganda factory. They were manufacturing fear, and the pro-war propaganda was spurred on by a desire for even greater profits. Now this is a powerful image of Mars, the pagan god of war, driving on pro-war propaganda and hatred. Again, this was all fueled by greed. Here we see an explicit illustration of the cash considerations of war. The warmongers were desirous to make money while they ramped up production, but they were also okay with sending off America's youth to die in war. Here we see the warmongers driving to the goal of entrance into the war, but the American people and forces of peace objected, and they tried to hold the line. Catholics, and there were many more good Catholics back then, prayed for peace. If only our secular leaders would have done the same thing, but by the 1940s, most countries had become entirely secular, liberal, and materialistic. If the world ever embraces traditional Catholicism, the moneyed elites, the users, the munition makers, and their lackeys will have to find new jobs, and they'll actually have to work for a living. In the early 1940s, 85% of Americans opposed entrance into the Second World War. But then, Pearl Harbor happened. Will Joe Biden manufacture his own Pearl Harbor in the Ukraine? I wouldn't bet against it. Once Pearl Harbor did happen and America did enter the war, the tablet immediately stopped protesting war and immediately supported our sons who were being sent off into war. But it's never too late. The reign of the Antichrist has not yet come. Let's make a blitzkrieg of prayer and say rosaries for peace in the Ukraine. And please pray for the conversion of our secular leaders as well as the leaders of the Novus Ordo Church. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back again within a week with another one. But in the meantime, please check out my Facebook page and my Twitter page. Every day I post additional content that you won't find on this YouTube channel. And also, please pray for the church.
When my poor old mom mother died, I was sitting by her side, a-promising to war I'd never go. But now I'm wearing khaki jeans and eating army beans, and I'm told that J.P. Morgan loves me so.